Hi everyone, and welcome to the re-recording of Unlock Your Blogging Potential. Thank you to those of you that made it to the webinar tonight. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you putting up with those technical issues. I have reported them to the platform because I'm not quite sure what was going on there. I tested it earlier in the day and everything was working fine. And then just as we're about to go live, the whole thing went disastrously wrong. So again, I apologise for that, which is why I'm doing this re-recording now straight afterwards, so everyone has a proper copy of the webinar, so you can use it to take notes from, have it as a resource, and go back to. There's also a number of people that couldn't attend tonight, so it's great for them to have a really good recording of it and be able to see the slides clearly. So I'm Andrea Morgan, and welcome to Unlock Your Blogging Potential. So I often sign up to webinars like you've done tonight, and I think it's important that we always look to expand our knowledge and understanding of a subject, and also even try something a bit different and new. But I've been seeing a trend recently on webinars. I've been discussing it with some of my entrepreneur friends, and we've been getting a bit fed up about this common structure that seems to be going on. And if you're a frequent attender on webinars, you'll know exactly what I mean. So the host will spend about 30-ish minutes talking about themselves, who they are, where they've been, what they've been up to, and basically presenting their social proof. They then jump onto the topic of which you've really logged onto the webinar to hear, to only get about 10 minutes. Within that, you even struggle to write a page worth of notes. It really can be that poor. And then they go into this long, drawn-out sales pitch. So, yes, I'm going to be promoting how to rock your blog, but I've got a rebellious streak. So I'm doing this webinar my way, and I'm basically going to cut out all the crap. So you don't need to know who I am or what I'm about. You can look that up on the internet, or you can email me and I will tell you a bit more about me. But I think you've come on this webinar to get some value from it, to take some notes from it, and to understand a little bit more about blogging and what's involved. So we're going to get straight onto it. So let's get into our blogging program. So How to Rock Your Blog is split into 5 weeks. It's on an online training platform, so which basically means you can access it when you want and as often as you want. So if on a Monday you just wanted to do 10-20 minutes, you can do that. And then within the program before each week is a breakdown of how long each lesson will take. So you can really work it around your week or your weekends to make sure you get all your study done during that week. Now each week is gone into chapters, and each one has a different theme. So the 5 themes are finding your freedom, telling stories, powerful content, I don't trust words, and the great and powerful Oz. Now, like that on its own, it will mean absolutely nothing to you. But what I'm trying to do tonight is just give you an overview of what's involved in the program. So within these mini bite-sized lessons that we're going to do, it will give you some blogging tips and some ideas and some little secrets of mine that I use. But it will also give you an idea of the type of thing that you'll be learning. But it really is such a little touch when you think we've got to accomplish so much within a short space of time. Finding your freedom is a really important week, and it has to be the first week because it's the week that helps you really loosen up, I would say. It lets you find that freedom. It lets you take away all those cobwebs that you have about writing and really start to learn to relax. It also helps start to build that self-confidence, and even I at times feel as though I can't do it. I mean, you always have those moments where you really feel insecure about putting yourself down onto paper and then putting it out there for the world to read. So this starts to help to break down that sort of inhibitions and build that confidence up. But it also sets the foundations for the rest of the program. So I want you to think, what is writing to you? Is it a scary step into the unknown, a challenge that needs to be conquered, or a stone that might be in the bottom of your shoe? But what if I said to you, you are already a writer? You're probably going, no, I'm not. That's why I want to do a blogging course. But actually, you are a writer because every day you write. You write emails, you write social media posts, you're writing every day, and writing is a habit. There's not one way to write. There is not one style. Each and every one of us is unique. So it's understandable that if we're all going to put a bit of ourselves into our writing, that we're all going to sound a bit different. So can you imagine how boring it would be if everything was written exactly the same way? Although there's not one right way to write, it is essential that you have an understanding of the process. For example, if you're going to boil a pan of water, to successfully complete the task, you need to know the methods and the order in which to complete it. And that's the same when it comes to blogging and writing. It is a common myth that some of us are anointed with a gift of writing. Like all things, there were some people where it comes to them very naturally, and others it doesn't. I'm one of the latter. I'm not an anointed one. I'm far from it. I remember writing my first blog post. I didn't even know what a blog post was. And more than that, I never written anything other than sort of Word documents and reports and that kind of thing. I certainly hadn't done anything like put myself on paper, that self-expressed blog sort of tone, which I'm quite known for today. And I personally have stayed away from social media. I've made excuses. I valued my privacy. I didn't want everyone knowing what I was doing. I didn't get it. I didn't see the point. It was a complete waste of time, like most people do when they first come to social media. And so I've gone a complete U-turn on what my beliefs and thoughts were, literally through learning what social is and then being led into blogging and really finding a new path for myself, which has opened so many doors and opportunities. But I've discovered there is a secret to being a better writer. And it's a secret most writers do know, but it's a secret that most people won't share. And basically, the secret to being a better writer is you have to write more. Think about, for a minute, the Couch Potato to 5K app. I've not used it, but I know a lot of people that have. But you're not expected to break free from the coziness of your sofa and immediately jump on the track and run a 5K perfectly. The app is designed so you progress little by little. And you only get better because you are doing a little more every day. And that's the honest truth. You need to be doing something every single day. And to succeed in blogging, whether it's writing, blogging, content, whatever the name you want to put on the hat, you just have to keep practicing. So if you only take one thing away from today, it is that something that your competitive agents might struggle to find because you don't like to do this, but on the journey to becoming a better writer, you have to learn to fail. It doesn't matter if you write like crap for sometimes. You just have to write. Not everything has to have that publish button, but if you want to get better at writing, just write. Write a little bit more every day. Practice, and the more you practice, the better you'll become. One of my favourite content writers is Anne Handley, and she says that writing can feel like giving birth to a Volkswagen. And it's a really funny analogy, but I think the women will probably might get it more than the men, but giving birth to a Volkswagen is something like it feels sometimes. You want to get things out, and you can't. You just really can't find a way of expressing what you want to say and how to get that onto paper. You need to love the ugly duckling of your first draft. Sorry about the image, because apparently it's impossible to find a duckling that isn't actually cute. But anyway, your first draft. Let's go back to your first draft. How many of you start to write? You may have written a paragraph or even paused after that first line. And before you've thrown all your ideas onto the page, you are already reviewing what you have written. Is that the right word? Is there a better way to say this? Does it read right? Sound familiar? I was once training somebody and I asked them to write for 3 minutes. I asked them not to think about it, but just to write. And as soon as she started writing, she went back and started editing every single word. I was like, stop, no, just keep writing. And it's a natural instinct to do. What's harder is to allow yourself the freedom to write. Imagine not editing a spelling mistake or remembering to go back and change something because it just didn't make sense. Your first draft is just that, is a draft. It's that ugly duckling waiting to be transformed into a swan. So my 3 don'ts for your first drafts are: don't stop. Whatever you do, give yourself the freedom just to write and get all your thoughts and ideas down on paper. Don't worry. It doesn't matter how good or how bad it is. It's an ugly duckling. It's not supposed to be perfect. And don't edit. There is a time to edit, and it's not from the beginning and it's not in the middle. It's always at the end. At the end, once you've got all the ideas on paper, you can then go back and red pen it and move things around and cross things around and restart to remold it into the shape of the swan-like content you want it to be. But that's not the idea for the first draft. The first draft is your ugly duckling. So don't stop, don't worry, and don't edit. Gary Vaynerchuk said that storytelling is by far the most underrated skill in business. I think the reason is that people just don't know how to find stories in their business or how to portray them in a way that's engaging. I guarantee you that your agency is bursting at the moment with stories. You're probably sitting on a mountain of blog posts just right now. Yeah, it's under your chair. You got them. A couple of years ago, I took a program with a guy called Todd Herman. He's a global leader in high performance. And one story he told me was whenever he visits the airport, he always heads for the magazine stand. He introduces himself to the person next to them and then asks them for a recommendation for a magazine. It might sound a strange idea, to ask somebody that you don't know, who may have very different interests to you, to recommend a magazine for you to purchase. But his viewpoint was, if you take yourself outside your own industry and you rip off those blankets, those comfort blankets of the things that you like and things you enjoy, you will discover a wealth of ideas. He said he used to find the most fascinating ideas in magazines he would never have even bought. And you can also find those ideas for your content, and you can relate them back to your business, and they provide such a wealth of inspiration. I've recently returned from a trip to Japan with my family, and it was a trip that my son won at our local cinema, but that's a whole other story. But anyway, we travelled on the Osaka train system, and it's absolutely incredible. It's completely worlds apart from our national rail, that's for sure. It was spotless. It was so organised. Now, on the floor of the platforms was the yellow line that there is in all our train stations, but just set back from that were painted boxes. And on these boxes were numbers and symbols. The overhead announcement told us that we had to stand on number 6 with a circle. So we found the box with number 6 and a circle. But unlike UK train stations, where it's often all elbows at dawn and every man for himself, people queued one behind the other behind these coloured boxes. They were all like in little lines, in little rows. It was like queuing up in school, where you used to queue up in primary schools and your form classes and things like that. That's how it looked. So as the train rolled in, when the doors opened, there was no rush. Everybody just walked in order onto the train. Now you're probably wondering why I'm telling you this bizarre story of a Japanese train station. But that situation inspired me to write a blog post about content planning. And what I did is used a method I like to call the twist. And the twist is used to transfer any situation, idea or thing in a piece of content that's related back to the story of your business or a service. Now the twist is a big topic that we cover, and we haven't got enough time to really explain how it works in a lot of detail. But by using the twist, you open up so many possibilities of content ideas, and I wanted to share that story with you. And the blog post is actually on the Citrus Content blog. If you fancy reading it and fancy seeing how I managed to relate being on a platform in Osaka to content planning. So storytelling obviously is a thing that I absolutely adore to do. And this is the topic of week 3. But have you ever started a book or started to watch a film and been so bored after the first 5 or 10 minutes, you're basically losing the will to live? I've had that at the moment, and I'm still struggling with it. I started a book by the gentleman that wrote Downton Abbey, and I'm a massive fan of Andrew Davis. I love his work, but this book, oh my goodness, I'm struggling with it. I've actually probably read books in between it faster, and I keep going back to it. I'm not even halfway through yet, but I keep trying, and I keep trying because it's his work. And realistically, if it'd been any other writer, I would have given up hours ago. But anyway, you might have even got to an end of a story and been completely frustrated at the ending. Has that ever happened to you? Oh, it's happened to me. You read a really good book or you watch a really good film and it gets to the end and you go, what? Is that it? What? No, I need more. So the same relates when you're writing a blog post. You want your post to engage the reader from start to finish. And when I'm trying to explain the stages of a story, I like to use a mountain. So this is my lovely story mountain, and it will be of no surprise to you that there is a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning introduces the characters, it sets the scenes, it launches the plot, and the beginner should grab our attention as a reader. And you certainly want to grab the attention, because the last thing you want them to do is read that beginning of your blog post and then go, no, and put it down or put it in the bin or whatever else and click to move on to the next thing. The middle is the fun section. This is when you can really be creative and have some fun and go out there and it's where the plot unfolds and the reader discovers, they explore, they learn. That's a really juicy bit of your content. And the end is a resolution. It's where we put a call to action. It's where we want them to move to the next step and engage with us on another level. Now, no one, as we know, buys or sells a property without feeling some kind of emotion. And I bet every day, even today, you've expressed a number of emotions. I know I have. I was really excited and I was finalising my slides earlier, checked everything was working, everything fine. Then came back to it, everything breaking down, frustration, upset, even a few tears, I have to admit, even a few tears, because I'd prepared and worked so hard on this, and then everything went to pot. But I feel calmer now, and I feel in a good place because I'm re-putting this webinar together. Yes, it's recorded, but at least you're still getting it. So I've been through a wealth of emotions just myself today. But it's important that you use these emotions in your writing. And I'm not talking about being soppy or being too comical, whatever kind of emotion. But when you relate to how somebody's feeling at a particular time, it shows them that you actually understand what they're going through. So you need to stop being an agent for a moment and start thinking yourself as a first-time buyer. I want you to think about the emotions you might go through. I want you to write them down. Grab a piece of paper and write them down. Think about from the moment you decide to buy a house, what would you be feeling then? Probably a bit of overwhelm, not quite sure of what you're going through, a bit excited but a bit unsure. So you might have some really conflicting emotions. Then starting to search for a property, what would that be like? Would it be frustrating because you realise your budget won't stretch that manor house down the road? Or will it just be excitement for going on these viewings and seeing these houses? You've got certain emotions there. Making the offer. Yes, there's a lot of emotions going around that time. So I want you to just think about all the little stages and steps that a first-time buyer will go to and write down how that emotional roller coaster would feel on their journey. But writing them down and seeing the process as a journey will allow you to empathise when you're writing your content. You will know what those feelings are and how to relate to that in your writing. So I've put together a video, and it's a video from Bell's Whiskey, and it's a demonstration of how to use emotions in storytelling. And I can't give you a piece of writing at the start in a webinar, but I can give you a video which does express it in a really great way. But I want you to take a note of how much physical time is spent on selling the product. So let's watch this video.
Evening.
Evening.
Yes. Have a good evening.
Not good.
Just the sound that words make.
Cat, dog,
Trash on the beach.
Good.
Farm fresh. Sun and I moved over grass.
Dad,
Hey Thomas,
I read your book. You read my book? Barman, give that man a bell.
I think it's a lovely video and really nicely demonstrates how to use emotions in storytelling. And I think this advert clearly shows a beginning where you learn that he doesn't know how to read and he's taking those first steps. The middle where he's getting better and he's trying and he's doing his little tests and getting his gold star. And the end where it's revealed why he's learning to read. I think it's a beautiful story. And then at the very, very last minute, you find out he's promoting a bowl of whiskey. So not all your blog posts have to be rigidly tied to your business. As you'll see, you can have some fun and you can be creative. And you can still highlight the benefits of your agency through subtle approaches rather than blatant advertising. You're probably seeing similar adverts to this Bales one on TV nowadays. You see them all the time. And sometimes you even struggle to actually understand what product they're selling. I know I've done that on occasion. But what they all have in common is a key message they want you to take away. What can sometimes happen in a desire to give the reader everything that they need to know, you want them to know so much, you want to tell them everything, that you can overload them with messages. You need to pull it back. Remember, a blog post isn't a novel, it's not a work of art, it's not your autobiography, it is one standalone piece of content that delivers a message, whether it advises, educates, informs, persuades, or inspires. So don't bombard and baffle your reader with too much information. It's a quick and easy way to disengage them. At Citrus Content, we don't only write blog posts, but also all kinds of content from websites, brochures, magazines, and letters. This means we look at a lot of estate and letting agent websites, and we tend to find that many of you are using the same words to express your business. We find cliches are in abundance, and personality sadly is lacking. And what does go the extra mile actually mean for a client anyway? So to become the agent of influence in your area, you don't just need to share knowledge and expertise, but also your difference. The major difference between your agency and your competition is you. So you need to be present in your content at all times. I would encourage you all to start to put a list together of some power words. These are words that you can use to express your services and your agency that you may not have used before. If everyone is an independent, family-run estate agency, how can you all be different? That's not who you are, that's what you do. Power words are a great tool for helping express emotions also. For example, let's take the word happiness. What other words could you use to describe being happy? Jot them all down on a piece of paper, keep them to one side. You might be thinking, why should I do that? Why should I get words down? Surely, if you want to use the word happy, you should use happy. But my favourite tool is the thesaurus, and I keep the thesaurus by my desk religiously. There are many online tools, but I'm an old school girl. I love paper, pens, real books, that kind of stuff. So if you think about how many blog posts I might have written over the years, and for example, let's just take home staging. I've got to be getting close up to triple figures. And now every blog post I write, I pride myself that it's very different. So every blog post I write for a client will be different from one to the next. So if I was using exactly the same words to express the same actions or emotions or feelings, then it wouldn't get monotonous and boring, but also it wouldn't be unique. Which is why having a list of words and finding new ways to describe things is beneficial. But it's not a time to get big and clever. It's not a time to get out those big words that none of us ever heard of, because if your reader has to look something up in a dictionary, you've lost them completely. So by mixing up the words and finding new ways of saying what we mean, we're keeping our content fresh. And so no matter how many times we write on a particular subject, it will always feel like the first time to the reader. Now I've talked about how we should not be preaching to your audience. And in other words, this is telling them. So we don't want to tell them what services we offer. You need to show them. Good writing describes how your service adds value by easing troubles, supporting burdens, and meeting their needs. But if you put your clients in the centre of your content, if they are the characters, if they are the ones that are going to shape it, then you'll find that you create that personal edge that people will just really long for. So we, instead of telling them by using the word we show them by using the word you. Always bear in mind to ask yourself why and how. These two questions will help you break down the barrier between telling and showing. So, for example, we provide... Oh, mine's gone blank now. So, for example, if you want to tell them about your service, you think one of your services is important, it's your top end of service, but why is that important for the client? How will that benefit them? If you're not telling them how it will benefit, then it's just a statement of fact. It's not either describing what the experience will feel like. But also put some meat in the bones. Don't be afraid of describing things in a bit of a creative way. You know, instead of saying we gave them some flowers, how about we gave them a nice big bunch of red roses? It actually feels that the words feel different. It gives a different meaning. Use your senses. You know, we experience things. You know, when we go into a property, it's all about gut feelings. You know, we might listen to what's around us. We might take in the atmosphere. We might smell something. You know, they always say the smelling of baking bread and coffee makes it feel like home. And then touching, you know, tactile services. You know, how many times you've been to someone you can't wait just to touch to see what it feels like. Being able to describe those kind of sensual activities and elements will really add some oomph to your content. And it allows the reader to start imagining themselves in that situation. And as soon as they're imagining themselves there, then you've got them. It's as though when they're doing a viewing, isn't it? You know, they're walking around the house and suddenly they're putting their furniture there, they're seeing themselves looking out into the sunlight, into the garden, they're seeing themselves baking in the kitchen. As soon as they do that, you've sold them. You've won them over. It's the same thing with writing. We haven't got time to really go into trust in a really great detail, and I'm brushing over it very quickly, and I wish we had more time to delve into it. But also, I don't want, you know, this is a whole week in the course, so you can see how much I really go into and explain this in a more valid way. But anyway, we all have brands that we trust, and mine is Apple. Even after my IT disaster tonight, I still love Apple. Still got my Apple products. And when I was putting this presentation together, I wanted a definition of the word trust that I felt really captivated what I was trying to portray in this presentation. And the one I came across is a firm belief in reliability, truth, or the ability of someone and something. And that's exactly what you're trying to do with the content. You want your clients to have a firm belief in your reliability, that you're telling the truth, and that they've got a firm belief in your ability to do something for them. And that's what it's all about. It's hard to trust someone when you feel they are holding something back or being a little bit dishonest. Therefore, I have two firm rules when it comes to writing. Never write for approval, and don't write for conversions. Because if you write with these in your mindset, you'll produce a different type of content that's more likely to turn off clients, rather than attract them. To build a trusting relationship through your writing, you have to be open. You need to build that emotional connection, and you need to shut up and listen to what they have to say and use that. Use what they're saying. If they're asking you questions in your day-to-day work, if one of your agents is saying, oh, someone has asked me this, but someone asked me the same question last week, use that as a piece of content so you can advise and educate your clients. And always make sure you deliver on your promises. So whatever you put into your blog post, it must be something that you can deliver. Because if you don't deliver them what you're saying in writing, people will see that as being dishonest. So whatever you put on paper is just as important as what you're saying face to face. So don't say something that you don't do. So, I don't mind embellishment in little ways, but let's not go into the land of make believe. It is also important to think about the audience you're writing for. Now, when you're writing a piece of content, you will be thinking about the story you want to say, and you also might be thinking of who the target is for that piece of content. So one blog post might not necessarily fit everybody, and when you're targeting it, you really need to think about who they are. You want to understand what is their why. So let's think about a downsizer. Now, there's two types of downsizers, isn't there? There's the downsizers who are keen to jump ship, can't wait to move to that smaller abode, and maybe they're looking for a life of leisure and travel, and so they just want to base in the UK so they can go and see the world. And then you might have the downsizers, which are probably like my mum. They're an absolute nightmare. They downsized a few years ago, and she did not want to move. They knew they had to move. The house was getting too expensive for them. The size was too big, so they wanted to downsize for financial reasons. But at the same time, my mum loved the house. She loved where the house was in the village that I grew up. It's a tiny village. And she did not want to move. So when they asked her where she wanted to move to, she identified one small street. So imagine having that as your client. As you can imagine, she was not the most popular with the local agents. But anyway, so the two types of downsizers have different hopes, and they also have different fears. So it's no good just writing with a generic point of view. You need to target in on who you're talking to in that piece of content. If you're talking to the downsizer that was my mum, their hopes is that they'll find a place that feels as much as home as the one that they've already got. The hope that they will find a place where they feel as though it's exactly the same. They're not looking for massive changes. Their fears are leaving something they're emotionally attached to. Will they ever get over it? Whereas the downsizers with travelling, their fear is, will the property problem be safe while they're away? There's different kinds of fears. Also think about the language. I mean, if I'm talking to my mum and dad, there's certain words that I might not use that are commonplace in a younger generation's lingo. I mean, my son uses words and phrases that he picks up mainly from watching YouTube videos, and some of them are completely new to me, but apparently all the kids know it, so I feel outdated sometimes. But the language I use speaking to him is very different than the language that I might use speaking to my mum and dad. So just think about that. It's just might be certain words or phrasing that you might just change slightly depending on the audience that you're speaking to. And again, how will the experience make them feel? I know I talk a lot about emotions and feelings, but really, that's what things are about. Everything is not just one robotic motion. We all go through feelings and thoughts throughout the day. I know it's election night, so all through tonight people are going to be hoping and fearing of many different things, and tomorrow who knows what the outcome will be. But that experience is different for everybody, so you need to be empathetic to all those different emotions. The last week of the programme is the Great and Powerful Oz, and this is just one action-packed week, let me tell you. There are so many things I've put into this week. It is literally about how to make your content work for you. Once you've written your piece of content and you've put it on your blog and it's sat there all nice, then it's about creating and designing it in a way that you can repurpose it in many different ways, shapes and forms. It's about how to make that blog post fly so it has wings and reaches such a wide audience and gets out as far and wide as it can. And so there's lots of tips, tricks, tools that I will share with you, tools for content ideas. There is so much packed into that week that I know everyone's just said, oh, it's such a fantastic week because we've just been soaking up so much stuff and so many things that they can use. And so they just have to take time to digest that week. But when I was putting this program together, I wanted to speak to a number of agents of what they wanted in a blog training program. What kind of things did they need? What kind of help did they think that would assist them? And it was really interesting, the feedback I was getting back. Some of them I expected, and some of the feedback I really didn't expect. And one of the topics that came up was from a prolific estate agent blogger who is known for blogging and blogs on a regular basis. And she said she was spending so much money every month purchasing images to use on a blog. Well, I just went, what? No way! No! Because I know, and I believed everybody knew, that there is hundreds of free image sites where you can find the most incredible images to use for your blog. Each one of the images I've used tonight has been a free image. So there has been so diverse images. I just wanted to show you within it. So if you're thinking that's a bit of a strange image, I've tried to relate the images to the content that we've been talking about, and so they relate to the piece. But I've tried to find some really cool and exciting images as well. And as I said, each one has come from a free image site. You should not pay. Do not separate your money from your purse. No, no, no. I think it's a big no-no. So there are a couple of free image sites I've put here just so you can take a look at. Pixabay is probably one of the biggest ones out there. Some of them can be a little tacky, but then you also get some really good ones within that. So it's worth doing a good search in there. Pixels is one that I like to use. PicJumbo, Picography, Negative Space. Each one has their own different style and look. It's worth just having a play with them and seeing what you can find on there. But as I said, you should never, never, never part money for images when there's so many amazing free ones out there. I'm just talking about your blog, of course. This is for your blog writing more than anything else. But if you have your own images that you've taken and they're of decent quality, obviously people want to see the people behind the business. So put some of your own images in there. But make sure the quality, you don't want to see dodgy taken ones on your phone unless it's for a particular reason. So I'm just going to quickly recap what we've been through tonight. So I hope you've managed to take away quite a few bits and points there. So we've looked about finding your freedom, how we go about telling stories, some of the tips into creating powerful content, how we can start to build trust with our clients, and then ideas for making our content move. But what we've looked at within that is looking about using free images to be able to maximize the visibility of our blog posts. So as I said, I'm not going to give a long sales speech. I'm just going to let you know what the program is. So you know it's over 5 weeks. You know it's an online program. You can dip in and dip out to. So within the program, you're going to get the How to Rock Your Blog platform. You'll get a weekly coaching call, which we will answer all your questions, and I'll share some more advice and tips within that. You get resources, you get a workbook each week and other downloads and things to keep. And it's a really good private members group, and the group that went through it last time really found that a really supportive environment. They shared ideas, shared problems they were having, and it was a really good safe place for them to really sort of work on their writing and get those ideas. Now, some of those members of the first group are actually wanting to stay in the group to help support this new intake of how to rock your bloggers, which is fantastic. It just means there's people there that have been through it, they've experienced it, they'll be able to give you their experience as well. So that's the classic entry level. We've also got the VIP level, and the VIP level includes private one-to-one coaching calls. So you get that one-on-one time with me where we'll have that good old chat, and I can coach you through any issues that you're having. If there's anything in the program you want more clarification on, that's the time that I can tell you that on a one-to-one basis. Each week you'll be producing a blog post, so you have the opportunity to send that blog post back to me for feedback and guidance, and I can support you through giving you little tips to help you progress more quickly and create that better writer. And I'm also throwing in here a tone of voice workshop. It's something that I do with some of my higher end clients, and it's a really productive way of creating that tone of voice for your business. You want to make sure you get consistency, so everything has that consistent tone as it goes out. It's not just in your blog posts, it's in your website, in your brochures. Everything has that consistent tone, and you really get an idea of who you are. So we're going to do a tone of voice workshop for the VIP members. Now, because of this so much one-to-one time on this training, on the VIP training, there's only 10 places. So what I'm offering is the first 10 people tonight that sign up on the Classic will get upgraded to VIP free of charge. So if you want to sign up for the Classic, which is $249 plus VAT, and you're one of the first 10, you will get the VIP extras alongside that as well. So that is literally it. I'm not going to go babble on for hours and give you 3 million bonuses and do all those other extras. There's 2 levels there. It'd be great to see you in there. I can't tell you how much this training course will unlock your blogging potential, and by the end of it, it will give you the tools you need to rock your blog, and you will be the person of influence in your area. You've probably seen the testimonials online. You can speak to those that have been through the program. I'm really excited by it. I know how much value that people are getting out from it, and for me that means everything. So I hope you enjoyed this training. I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to re-record it, and so that the early disasters hopefully can be forgotten. And I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the program soon. Thank you very much for your time.